following page shows how much of that the grant will cover. And for purposes of this, you know, I don't know what your IT budget line item is today in your budget. And you may not even have an IT budget line item in your budget. But you spend money on
Yeah,
IT.
we do.
I made the assumption that it totaled $2,500.
It may, I don't even think that, we don't call upon them very often.
And whatever it is, we would adjust this.
Right,
All right, but I needed to plug something in there.
right,
So the one-time fees are covered by the grant entirely. For the first year, the grant would cover 100% of the incremental cost. So if your current budget was $2,500, the grant would cover $11,824. The second year, it would cover 50% of the incremental cost. Third year, 25% of the incremental cost. And that's what we think right now, but depending upon how many towns opt in and what they choose, this funding, could change. It could be more. I don't think it's gonna be less. But it could end up being more grant funding than what we're illustrating here.
Meaning it could last longer than 3 years, or the the decreasing amount could extend to 5 years instead of 3 years or something?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, you know, if we're 4 years, then, you know, we try to do 175, 50, 25, to give you time to build up your budget, you know, to wean you off the grant. But, you know, remains to be seen how much more money will be coming into this program for this purpose.
Yeah, it's juggling the towns. We won't know exactly what until each, community decides what they
makes a
want.
commitment.
Yeah.
Was, last time we talked about, the one-time fee, the, basic, we wouldn't be able to participate in, we can't pick and choose on this. This is, we are all in, or we are all.
No, you pick and choose, this is all a carte.
So we could say, we just want the one-time thing with computers and whatever for you guys to come in here, and then not subscribe to any of the monthly costs that you've laid out here.
I guess we'd have to talk about that, but the program is the one-time fee and then plus the monthly fee.
I think what he means by a la carte is we can do the PC hardware software and not the website and not the video streaming.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Right, but we have to at least participate in some of the monthly fees.
Yeah, the monthly is essentially you're leasing out your computers now, because they'll always be updated. If for some reason there's an issue, they're just replacing new ones. The software is always updated, so you'll never incur the laptop or second desktop went, it's $1,000, $2,000. You just know exactly what your budget will be broken down by month. So essentially all of this is to remove any surprises with IT budget expenses and know that you'll have a consistent cost.
For 4 years. And
Add a
then
new-
after 2027, what happens?
Then you fully fund it, but it continues on. If
And
you
we fund
want.
it for, in 4 years, right now you're projecting that 14,500.
That's the third
Turn
year.
into a 17,000 at what you're estimating could be 20,000. I, just speaking honestly, we're a population of 34. I don't know if we're gonna be able to come up with $15,000 annually for IT.
Yeah.
So, I understand the concept, and I appreciate the concept, and there are plenty of upgrades that we really would love to have. I just don't see the people accepting, to go into bed for $15,000 a year for computers.
Well,
for IT.
I think if we look at the whole package, I agree. I think for instance, the video streaming, for a town our size, our YouTube process is fine. I mean, for a larger town where it needs to be more accessible, you know, we might be talking about, I mean, if 10 or 15 people are gonna watch these videos, you know what I mean? So if that- So if we start deleting, you know, the PC hardware software thing, I think there's a strong pitch that could be made for that, because technology succession is happening so fast, and we buy new computers and they'll be updated in 3 or 4 years, and then we'll be back.
$15,000 a year.
No, the 15,000 is for the website and the,
And then after that,
so it
after
would be-
4 years from now.
no, that's for everything, including website and the video streaming, which are sizable portions of that, so that,
You take 5,000 off of that, it gets you down under 10,000.
I just don't see it.
Well, I think one of the problems though is I don't think we really have any idea how much we spend on IT right now, because it's
Maybe
sort
we
of,
should do a cost study.
you know what I mean, because it's sort of all broken up, and I don't know how much we spent, but I spent a lot of time, we spent a lot of money when that computer went down, and EPI, the guy came up here all day, we ended up switching hard drives, and then I had to drive it down there, and then he sent it to Dell, and I mean, you know.
We could find out.
It was, I don't know how much it was, but I'm just saying that stuff does add up, you know what I mean?
Then
So-
maybe we should take the time and,
is the hardware software portion of this, a la carte as well, or is it all 3 of the monthly fees are necessary? Like, could we do the hardware and the software and not the network site support, or does it have to come as?
Let us get back to you, because one of the things that is important is that the network operates together with the PCs, and if you have a trouble, and they,
Okay,
you know, they're providing unlimited help desk support, and now they discover, oh, the problem is with your network. They would rather be managing the network and the PCs all as a holistic
Yeah.
environment, which is going to make sure you have fewer problems.
yeah, it does make sense. And actually, looking closer at this, we have 5 users, not 3. So we have 3 PCs with 5 users that would be using, so that would
Yes.
actually be.
And I think we
Another
talked the
$100
last
more.
time about Trio being, you know, one of the software options.
It isn't, but it's something we're willing to potentially entertain, depending upon how much of this grant gets allocated, depending on what towns choose what options. But for instance, with Trio, we wanted to get the DMV,
BMV, and I sent you a quote for that.
I couldn't remember if I actually had it, and we were talking about it on.
I
Sure,
printed
so
it
I have
out
it, so.
here.
But to follow up on your point, so we wanted to start with, here's everything that would make the town's IT run really good. And it's the most expensive start, right? So knowing that a lot of towns have selected to take this, not that, so in the 14 or 15,000 a
That's
year.
just the BMV.
You know, we don't anticipate a lot of these
We
small
use-
communities be able to afford that, but it's all the devices, it's a new website, it's streaming, this is the Cadillac, if you will, right? If you wanna start chipping away at, pricing and services, obviously,
You can have that.
Yeah.
you know, you can do that. I mean, every town so far has been different in what they want to take, and it's usually the case with a lot of things, you know, community by community.
I guess for me, I'm a little curious why, I mean, one of the most important things from my perspective, and I do a lot here in the town, is Trio. I mean, that's one of our biggest expenses. So that is almost more important than having a computer upgrade. It's like, that is what we use to make everything work.
Mhm.
That's how we pay our bills, it's how we register, you know, whatever, it's what we use in this town. So why that's not part of this whole IT thing, I mean,
Well,
it is
you
like.
have Trio currently, right?
We do, but that specifically, that quote is for the BMV module. But we also have, I mean, we have a lot of things that you're offering
It's our
here
entire
already.
database.
Pardon me?
It's our entire database for,
Yeah,
property tax, everything.
right.
So but you already have those components.
But we already have an IT support thing, we already have a lot of this, what I feel like is, it's a huge gap in what we do here in this town, and I mean.
Well,
What- are you asking,
that's
are
why
you-
we're having this conversation now.
are you
That's
asking
every
them to
town's different.
consider bringing Trio into this program that they have?
It seems like, I mean, if you're offering it to towns, I think that other
Not all
towns.
towns use Trio.
I know that West Forks doesn't, and I know that Moscow doesn't, I don't know what other towns you're looking.
I think the bulk of them, other than what you just mentioned, do. The problem with Trio is very expensive every year. You start adding modules, it gets even more expensive. And some towns might say, and I think you might be getting to that, we don't want any of this, we just want help with Trio. And that's not ruled out by any means, but we wanted to start with here's a start to finish IT infrastructure that we think would benefit the town. And you guys might not be in agreement with that.
Right.
And you might say, we just wanna help with software, but that's why we're having these.
And part of the reason we didn't include Trio, aside from it's expensive, is the majority of towns already have Trio. What we were looking to do was layer products and services on top, not address something that they already had that sufficiently met their needs. Now,
But
you're,
we already have all these
and
things
that,
sufficiently.
and that may
met.
sufficiently
We have-
meet your needs, but we put the program together for the universe of towns, not just
The forks,
the forks.
okay.
But that doesn't mean that there isn't some flexibility. But one thing, just real quick, on this BMV module, this gets you the ability to, handle all of the registrations.
Mhm.
Now, how do you do that today?
We do it, the state gives us these, it's a PDF basically, that's a fillable PDF, and that's what I use to register vehicles, with, and it's wrought with, from my perspective, because I'm fairly new to it, it's very tedious, and, you know, you can make a mistake. Again, maybe it's, user,
Do you have to forward those PDFs?
do I have to?
Do you have to forward those along to the state, the PDFs?
Well,
Or do you upload
that's what, so then we've got the blank, pink, yellow, and white piece of paper, and we put it in the printer, and it prints it out, and that's your registration. So, but the PDF,
Okay, so it's still a hard copy.
it prints out as a hard copy, yes,
So,
but it's a pain, Trio makes it like 10 times easier, and it can almost, like most programs, it will, prompt you or know when there's a mistake or something missing or whatever. It won't even let you print it unless you fill in all the required blanks. I have one case in point that I've got to redo registration that I did a couple weeks ago, where I put, information in the wrong box, so there's like 20 boxes, and I just like put it one box over to the left when it should be one box over, and it's like, it's just, whatever,
so out of curiosity, how much of this registration revenue stays with the town?
the excise tax does.
Alright.
So if you buy a brand new vehicle, that's, whatever, it's, the excise tax stays with the town.
Alright. So
And
it
then the
is a
state-
revenue source then?
Yes, and the state gets like $35 per vehicle, or 37 if it's.
Right. And you're obviously making more revenue than the Trio module costs.
yes. I mean, potentially on one vehicle, if you buy a brand new fancy truck, that could pay for it.
How much is the module? Nobody here knows, I don't know.
Okay, I did print it out.
$11,580 a year.
That's what we pay right now
No.
for, yes.
Well, that's with the B&B module, this is,
How much is just the BMV module?
11,000?
Right,
11,000 a year?
No, it can't be. But I guess I might be in the dark here on what the B&B module, how it relates to this program that they're offering.
I'm just, all,
Okay.
because
What
I.
you would like to have
Right,
integrated.
in my opinion, some of these things aren't really, I mean, to me, the B&B thing is, I mean, the Trio is more important than Microsoft 365 Business.
So we can
Premium.
discuss that at a later date, and if we need to get it on
Okay,
the annual.
yeah, so what we wanted was to share this information and pricing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you all have a good sense of what you think you need, not us. And then get back to us on what you think the best use of these dollars would be. And we might say Trio's way too expensive tonight, and maybe in 4 weeks, we're like, you know, other towns have declined certain things, and maybe it's not. Long term, it's not gonna be sustainable for us to fund this, obviously, but we wanna have a conversation, and you guys know what you want and what you might not. And what you're willing to start budgeting in future years, and what you might wanna cap it at, you know,
So just to summarize, so what we're hoping is that maybe if the funds are not, if enough towns don't snatch any of these grants up, there's room to massage this program to include some other things that maybe would fall under the same payout schedule, where if we wanted to get this B&B Trio module, it could be covered 100% first year, 75, 50, 25, or 75, 50 for 3 years. Did I summarize what you're asking
I
for
think
correctly?
so, yes.
Alright. Because I agree, I think just on its face, with the amount of traffic we get to our website and streaming these videos, I don't think that would be relevant for our town. I could understand the value of the software support if we can compare it to our current cash outlay that's kind of sporadic and we don't have.
And that would
A great
just
idea.
take a matter of sitting down.
Yeah, we're just gonna do an audit for the last couple of years and see what it takes. And a question I had though on the hardware software side, is there a plan for what is the succession rate for new hardware? You know, is it an every 3-year update regardless, or is it when we make a complaint about how old something's getting, or do you have an idea of that?
We've spec'd out the processors and the amount of memory that we wanna see in the machine to begin with.
Okay,
And if that's existing today, the machine will stay in place and you just continue. If a newer version of a processor comes out that is gonna improve the performance of the software applications you're running, then it'll get replaced.
okay.
Or if it fails, it'll get replaced. Alright, but if everything is running fine, it's not gonna get replaced, because there's no need to. But, you know, I take your point that, let us get back to you,
Okay.
if it would be every 3 or every 4 years
Yeah.
regardless, or what have you.
Yeah,
That's a good point, that's a good.
when you
point.
mentioned like leasing, you know, that's, you know,
Right.
you lease something, it's like a 4-year lease, and then you go and they hope you renew your lease with a new car, and then a new car, you know, every 4 or 5 years, so. That would help, I think that might help some towns put it over the edge and say, well, we're gonna get a new computer every 3 or 4 years, and we know we're always gonna be at the cutting edge, that would be attractive.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't think I have any more questions.
Charlie,
No, I don't.
Susan? Okay.
Alright, well, I would probably suggest, obviously, discussing this internally, and seeing what you think might make most sense, and then from there, we can take that and revise price structures and get back to
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Catalyst is Catalis.
Correct.
All right, I'll look into that.
Thank you for making me
Thank
turn.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Drive safe, watch out for deer.
Oh, yes,
Watch
we're
out
on the
for few
move,
miles.
yeah.
Been right out in the road here.
Have they?
This time, about this time of day
I
too,
haven't seen it.
especially down by.
I keep looking.
I haven't seen any dead ones lately, they're all.
No, I'm still looking.
Your big one's just getting bigger, isn't it?
What's that?
Your big one is just getting bigger, isn't it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, have a good one.
Thank you.
I never heard the hunting season wasn't over when we discussed.
Oh, no,
that.
I guess it's that little one. I have a coyote, shack that I pick up dead deer and I put it out there for my mates.
Oh.
So for the rest of the board, I think for clarification, and if you can correct me if I'm interpreting wrong, Susan, what Susan is trying to do is see if they'll support Trio instead of this other software that we don't use.
We presented that up the
And-
road
okay,
too,
and
because we
then-
don't need it, we need software.
And the BMV piece for Susan, I think, is that, and it's very
For
expensive, but I
anybody who's gonna
understand
do
that,
job.
is that, and Denise, I think knows this, the BM thing, they've made a process that is incredibly complicated
I
and
understood.
very easy to make errors.
I understood.
But, you know,
My
so-
only observation of their presentation is if they come back to the table and say, oh yeah, we're gonna support Trio, but that number just went from 15,000 to 27,000.
Yeah.
Well, I
So,
mean, they
you know-
could take out the website, we don't need any.
We can take that out. We have the choice, it's à la carte. We can
Right,
take the
so
website out, we
what-
can take the streaming out.
Okay,
I just don't know how long this actual is gonna last. They're gonna
See, that's the
put it
other
in
thing.
and-
You
know they're gonna be in business in 2
Grant
years.
money.
We're all-
It's a
we
sweet
have-
deal
right
right now.
now.
so we're already paying.
And they want
Trio.
15 grand and we can't pay our bills? So our taxes went up 5 grand last
Right,
year?
but we're
I
already
couldn't
paying.
support it, I mean,
Yeah.
I would vote against it.
But just so you know from the last meeting, it's grant funding that the
He's
Somerset.
partially grant funded, what he just said.
No, it's the Somerset Economic Development Corporation is managing this grant money. So they're the ones putting together the program, the grant money is there, and they're facilitating the program so that the grant money can get spent in these towns. It does expire, so how it works is they pay the upfront cost and 100% of the change in our IT line item bill for the first year. And then with 75% and 50%, and then we're on our own for what the bill is at that point forward. And
I'm skeptical, I'll be honest, Justin, I'm always skeptical with these grants.
yeah,
And,
that's fair, I would be too.
and I've seen it time and time again, but what these two guys said didn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me tonight. Sounded to me, they were just gonna try to get out of us what we could. Well, if we didn't wanna do the 14,000 plan, you can go on something a little bit cheaper, you know?
And to me, erase all this and just say, let's get help with paying for Trio. If
That-
we're gonna stick
yeah.
with Trio.
And I
you know
have
what
a
I'm
feeling
saying?
that challenge is probably upstream of the Somerset Economic Development Corporation. You know, they're operating within the confines of the grant that they've been tasked to manage. So they'll probably have to bring all this feedback from the towns.
But I've
to the grant
also
owner.
mentioned to them that we would rather have software, so if you mentioned we'd
Yeah.
rather have software, you know, and then another town does, maybe they'll consider it. But I
Yeah.
think for now, this is what they're offering, and
Right.
they may go back to the table and,
I hope so, because.
And say we're offering stuff that they don't need.
Yeah.
And this is what it seems to be. the
because
deal.
if a lot of towns don't do this, then what are they gonna do with the money that they have?
Right.
Because it's funded by the NECC, I believe,
Yes.
yeah.
That-
They're trying to help supporting towns that the line goes through.
Mhm.
is how-
Okay, so we,
Alright.
we done with this one?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to, tax map discussion.
All right, I got everybody a handout, I think you probably saw the email too about, this is a, services, for review only, that's not official. We're looking at, I believe,
What is it then?
It's got lat long logic at the top left.
Okay.
upper limit to $3,000, to have this redone. One of the issues, and I have reached out to Garnet about it, is that there's a component of having, that he'd have to do updating something in Trio. I think, my personal opinion is that we should, if we can't do, perhaps add it to our budget or to our, town meeting, to our budget, to get the town people's approval. But, they already saying this, I don't think they can get to us until like late spring, early summer to begin it. So I'm feeling personally, I don't know who, I mean, maybe I'm reaching, but I don't know who would vote against getting this done and funding it at the $3,000. I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense. And if the voters don't, I wonder if we can't pay for it out of plantation charges. You know what I'm saying? I think we need to.
It needs to be
get this
done, we're way delinquent on 911, and this goes with, hand in hand with it, right?
It's all part of it now.
This is the same person that did West Forks, and their new tax maps are beautiful.
I agree 100%, I think.
Yeah.
Let's,
They're very nice.
let's add that to,
The article, are you gonna write that on your?
Yeah, I just
note?
realized I haven't logged this computer onto the new Wi-Fi yet, so it's not. Let me just go take a
The
picture.
question
Oh, that's
is
right,
I'm
we got
not,
new Wi-Fi.
the question I have is, do we wait until after June to sign this agreement? That way we're looking at not probably getting the tax maps and stuff until maybe next year.
I see what
Do you know what I'm saying? We can read this, if you take a look at it, we don't have to decide right now,
Okay,
but I would just as soon sign it sooner rather than later. And, the money won't be due until they've completed it, which would be after
but
town
if we
meeting.
sign it without the people agreeing
Can
to
you
it,
cancel it? What is it?
well, I hate to bring it to the people, and they shoot it down, and then we try to do it with plantation charges. So we either do it with plantation charges prior to, or we bring it to the people and ask them to raise the $3,000. Follow what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, it's a requirement done by the state, feds, right? So this needs to be done, it's not like we have a say in part of this. So I would feel comfortable saying that we should do it out of plantation charges, because it needs to be done. We need to bring our tax map up to date, we need to bring the 911 up to date. So I would be comfortable speaking for the people and spending that $3,000.
I think we should, I
Is
agree.
that
I
a-
think it's something we should move on as opposed to bringing it to the people. And
If
risking
it
having-
wasn't a requirement, you know, so to speak, then I would.
Right, but it is, it's one of those things, it's sort of like, which is kind of funny, you bring the tax to the people every year.
And it's been, yes, and it's
You
been.
know, like, you can't vote it down, I mean, but
No,
it's
it
kind of, you know, but it's one of those things, I think,
And this would help clarify the tax maps with CMP and everything else that goes along with this.
Dave, can you restate that so that it's a motion?
I can, I'm still having the discussion.
Okay, all right, so.
Yeah. I'd like to ask Mr. and Mrs. Peabody, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think the way you're going about it is better than just bringing it to the people, it's voted down, and then you take it out.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of backdoor.
right, and it's not a huge amount of money, I mean, we're not
Right.
talking.
It-
Well, something like that has to be done,
It has
right?
to be done.
Sure, so we gotta do it.
That's right.
It has to be done.
Well, I think the last ones were done like in 1996.
See, you're still cleaning up messes.
I mean, they are so old.
We're still cleaning up messes, we're just getting CMP off our docket, yeah.
What these people did say is they cannot help with the 911, and they didn't.
But this will help with that.
Probably will, yes, it
Will-
will.
It'll dovetail nicely to have that
Yes.
along with updated.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we spend the $3,000, and get this signed and get them booked for next fall, next spring.
I second.
All in favor? My question, I just had a question about it though, would be, okay, no, you answered the question. We wouldn't have to pay them like today, right? We could wait till after April.
No, right, I mean, I have, it's been a few days since I read this. Completed, it says,
Okay,
maximum 3,000.
okay.
They say it could be less.
Oh, so it'll be after completion?
That's what I read.
Okay,
Compensation shall be payable within 30 days upon receipt of invoices from consultant and satisfactory evidence of work in progress or completed in accordance with this agreement.
so we should, I don't, as, for transparency, I'm not sure if anybody's done it before, but we should make a note on our, annual meeting, that we did do this to expect that expenditure.
So you have that document I noticed, on Google Drive, Justin?
Yep, I'm on it right now,
Okay,
but I would just articulate more clear, this is a working list of warrants for the 2025 town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Did this ultimately become not a warrant because we're gonna take this out of plantation
That
funds?
is correct.
But it's something you want to have included as a note.
As a note to, at least to the people to understand that we will have somebody going around redoing our tax map. Not to be, confused with tax valuations.
So this is something, if you look at B on page 1, that's the garnet piece. Identification, reconciliation of discrepancy between the municipal TRIO database and the spatial process. That's a, and he's agreed that he'd do it, agreed to do it, so.
Excellent.
So that's all I have on that. What I think I can do, if you look at it, requires one signature. So this is a review. I'll reach out to them, say that we've approved it, and get, this is like a sample, and get the official one from them. I've read it, pretty thoroughly, just not recently, and I feel like it's something,
And this will,
it's sound, we need to move forward with it.
and this will, oh good, it'll import it right into the TRIO database.
Mhm.
So you don't have to look, so you have a digital copy when you go online.
Yeah, what it doesn't include, I don't know if we would just forego having printed tax maps, but that's an expense that,
I don't know if we'd have to.
yeah.
Well, it says generate a complete set of tax maps, PDF format to provide municipality with the digital data sets. Phase 2 of number 6.
I can't believe they can do all that.
I was just gonna say, don't get very much.
This will streamline a lot of our work and TRIO's work and make a lot of tax collector.
I reached out to TRIO today. I'm trying to get some training for myself to get that database squared away, and I shared with Justin, just as an aside on a phone call today, that I have a vision for that database, and I think it's realistic, that right now you have a list of property owners, and some properties have multiple owners, so and you each have a number. Well, those owners are all associated with an account.
Correct.
And then what I'd like the account, so my vision is that we would have, that tax data, but we would also have a telephone number, an email, a local address, 911, and wherever they live when they're not here, all in that database, and as much contact information as we can, with email or phone numbers and stuff. You can put it all right in there, but I wanna make sure that I set it up right and I'm, putting the data in the right spots. But that's kind of my vision, and then the tax maps will all be part of that too. So
That's agreed.
so, all right, I'll work on getting
Okay.
like that officiated, and I think, do you wanna sign it?
We can.
Okay.
Sign this one and pass it down, is that?
Well, no, this is just for review
Oh,
only.
okay.
So I have to get say, yeah, you approve it, can you send the official one?
Let me know, yeah?
Yep.
All right, so we'll move on to number 4, gym membership, non-resident participants.
so the, gym has finished
clean.
being cleaned, yeah, it looked really good, I went in there today. So,
We'd like to open it back up to the public, is what you're saying.
to not only Forks residents, but to anybody, so my question is, I didn't have time to call MMA, we didn't have internet, we didn't have phone service at home, so I didn't call MMA to find out what kind of a, waiver that we need to have.
We
So-
have waivers.
Okay,
Yeah, we have
We
quite a
just-
few of them.
yeah, but we just wanna make sure that the waiver is adequate.
Yeah,
Um,
we change occasionally, you know,
Yeah.
they're always needing a.
Right, so I think that that's a question, and do we wanna charge a membership for, that's the question. I don't know, for, if Brandon, for instance, wants to participate.
I don't know if we start charging a membership, whether we have to have an attendant, and that type of thing. I think where it was Forks residents only, we were covered by the town blanket policy.
I see.
I would be objected to, the Forks residents and guests. As far as, the general public, I think I think with just this little gym here, I think we'd be biting off a little bit more than we can chew at the moment, my own opinion. You'll have raft guides, you'll have, people coming, not just raft guides, but rafters coming in that wanna get a quick workout in.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
This will be, on a rainy night, the campground will empty out in here, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what I
Maybe
mean.
showering.
Absolutely,
Use
it, yeah.
absolutely, as
That's true.
someone that deals regularly
I
with the
just don't
general
see-
public, if it is available, then it is theirs.
Right.
And,
I say it's residents only.
oh, and
Residents
it
and their
hasn't been
guests.
open
I
for
would-
a
I go with
long
that,
time,
Dee.
and,
At least
I
till
mean-
you start and see how it goes,
Yeah.
and then you could always say residents and guests, so if you had some friends up and they wanted, you
if they
could
were
bring a
staying
guest
at
down,
your
other than that.
place, that's one
or
thing.
something.
Or
yeah.
even like residents of the.
You might have to
Forks
get
in
different
West
liability
Fork.
insurance if you charge too. I
Yeah.
mean, it might then become a
Then
commercial
it's a
operation,
commercial
and
operation.
and minimum would be 500 or 600.
That's what I
Bucks or
would.
something.
I don't think that we should open this to residents of these other two towns without charging them. Because
No, of
we're
course
paying for
not.
this, we pay for the equipment, we're
Absolutely.
paying for
What,
the heat,
so
we're
Tabitha
paying
is
for it keeping
asking,
clean.
Tabitha is asking, cause she lives in Moxie Gore.
Who's Tabitha?
Tabitha is the person who cleans.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know her
So,
name.
yeah, so she and her husband would love to use it.
Well, they're not
They're
residents of
not
the
residents.
Forks.
I'd start with residents, just to make it simple, then if it's going good, you can always
You
expand,
know,
but you can never go back.
this is old equipment, I mean, it hasn't been used for 4 years, we don't even know
What works.
if we'd have to upgrade everything, I mean.
I mean, there's a
maybe-
Bowflex in there, people have been using Bowflexes for a long time, you know, not that you couldn't, but it's just not
The
the
first
new
time you pull
boat.
it down, it snaps, breaks you in the nose.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, but you gotta think that way
They
today.
don't really, I mean, they
But you know,
vote here.
What's that?
we don't really know what we're getting into, even to open it up
Yep.
for the residents, we don't know what we're gonna run into.
If they're registered to vote here, I think technically they are residents.
That's right,
Well, I mean, Moxie Gore, they aren't residents of the Forks.
no, they're not.
But they vote here,
Yeah,
so-
but that's because they have to, the state lets them vote somewhere, they have to declare where they're going to vote, but it does not make them a resident.
Okay, I thought
Because
it.
they have to pay their taxes directly to the
Yeah, they don't
state.
pay taxes to this town, not a
No,
dime.
they do not. But the state wants them to be able to vote, so they choose where they wanna vote.
Right.
But
They could vote in Bingham if they
the
wanted
argument
to.
could be made for her is that she is an employee, she could be covered under the insurance because she is an employee. So,
So
I don't
for
know
future
that.
reference, if this is something we wanna explore, it sounds like we wanna, the general consensus at this table is that we want to ease back into having the gym open and not dive headlong into a full-fledged public gym for anybody. But those would be the questions I would be more concerned about asking MMA beyond, is our waiver satisfactory? If we open this up to non-taxpayers,
Right,
what kind of can of worms are we opening? And is it even legally feasible to do it? You know,
Right.
it's not, we wouldn't be the first town to offer, you know, community
Right,
services like that, you know, a community center or something like that might have a basketball court or something like that.
well,
So it's-
maybe the other town could pay a fee.
That's what I mean,
But
that's the suggestions
That
I'd like to
doesn't
hear
mean
from.
that everyone
MMA,
staying
yeah.
at the campground gets to,
Mhm, right.
I
I
agree.
mean, it would be
Right.
just residents of
Yeah.
that town. But
Okay,
we
well,
haven't had it open for so long, I don't think we have any idea going forward what.
There are
even-
just a lot of newer, younger
Right,
residents now too.
that's right, it's
that I-
wonderful, yes.
Yes,
But,
which I feel are people are traveling to Bingham.
Right,
So is this motion gonna be to restrict the gym membership to residents and guests, or residents only? Residents, guests, and employees of the town, or how will we work?
The problem I have with guests is, the liability in the waiver.
It's always been open to guests though.
It has been, and they don't have to sign a waiver, they're
Yeah,
covered
they
under
do,
the waiver.
they come with the resident, they have to be accompanied by them.
Okay,
okay,
so
well,
yeah,
that makes
the
sense.
waiver that the resident has signed covers the guest.
That
I
does make
assume the
sense,
guest
yeah.
also has to sign a waiver
Yeah.
as well.
I think the guests would have to sign a waiver
Yeah,
too.
and I think that's why there's
Everybody
always
signs
waivers
waivers.
in there, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
when I called MMA about this months ago, really before this current board perhaps was even in place, it was about the liability release that we have and the validity of it and whether it was sound. And do they have a sample, like these sample policies? They do not, they said, go to your town lawyer if you want a good.
Right,
They didn't have a
I
sample
agree with that.
liability release form. And given how old that one is, and I think there are more than one, there are different versions, maybe it would be a good idea.
To get it updated.
To get it updated and have it legally sound and, you know what I mean, that would be.
Right.
Which only brings me to another question, and it has to do with, at some point, we are gonna have to engage the services of an attorney.
Yeah.
Do we wanna continue with Mr. Woodcock and his outfit, or should we
No.
start to search for someone
Yeah.
else?
Absolutely,
just,
no.
yeah,
No, I say
Time to
absolutely, I mean, not
clean
that I have
house.
a vote, but
Yeah.
no.
yeah.
Can I make a motion right now that we initiate a search for another town attorney? Cause I think we're gonna need one, and I don't wanna be behind the eight ball, like we need an attorney and we don't have one.
I heard
It's,
there was
you know,
one that was, has some ties to Mr. Stimson here, a municipal lawyer out of the Portland area.
Municipal lawyer. I've got an estate attorney that's in my
Oh,
family, but, yeah.
Yeah,
But he's certainly very good at connecting me with good attorneys, so,
Yeah, sorry, I thought you did.
no, I'm sure I could do some asking around and,
Well, we can find a municipal,
yeah,
it's not that
yeah.
hard.
I'm gonna suggest that we bring that in at new business for a motion on that
Good
and
call.
stick on this gym. So,
Okay, alright,
So, no matter what, we're gonna wanna run a new waiver by an attorney, whether we open it up to just residents or anyone
Right.
else. Are there any other punch list items that need to happen before we can make an announcement that the gym is open again? Is anything need to be
I-
replaced in there, or?
I think somebody with some experience that's been to the gym before should look over the equipment.
Okay. Spare equipment.
You know, just go in there and say, oh, there's a wing nut, or the Bowflex is, you know, cracked and whatever. Well, that's gonna be,
And is there a willingness, if we find that we're missing a part to something, or we've got a full set of something, but it's missing these two, that
Get a
we
list
spend?
before we
Okay.
go. Because I still think that you and I were gonna, this spring, we're gonna more look towards the,
I agree, yeah.
so, but for now, maybe we can get this back open to residents or residents with their guests. That depends on what legals would say.
What is in there for equipment? I've been so long, I've never
The
really had a Bowflex.
treadmill,
Check it
electrical,
out.
Go look.
it doesn't smell like dead exercise
Oh,
I'll look after the meeting, Denise, I have to go.
yeah.
So we are
You
not
got a
making
treadmill, though,
motion
that's good,
tonight
huh?
about
I have a
residents and
bicycle.
guests. We're
You got a
you're-
treadmill
we're
too,
waiting
yeah?
to find,
We're waiting
That
till we
isn't
get
bad.
to
legal.
get
That's pretty
legal
good.
advice.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, alright,
I mean,
so,
They're not,
You could walk in
MMA
the winter
was
down
in a
here,
position to help us in this domain, is what they told me,
Okay.
basically. No sample policies, no, you know.
Okay, so whoever, when we get down to new business, once we find that direction, we'll point that, we'll give that first tryout order of business.
Yeah, that's good.
Bless you.
And in the past, we used
I
the
mean, that's
gym,
good stuff, that's pretty good.
we used the gym a couple times, I was given a key from Sandy. So the expectation is, it's obviously unattended, so it's on the onus of the user to come in, sign the waiver, sign the logbook or whatever.
You could do the waivers online. You know, they could go online and sign the waiver, so no one has to,
But what are
I
we
mean-
doing about, how are we monitoring compliance with that?
People
know.
are adults.
That's what you hope.
That's good.
No, that's what it kinda was before, like I don't really
Well, you
think
lose your
anyone.
privilege if.
No, you
Modern
got the
internet.
key at the same time that you signed the waiver, that was the.
Now, is there
that's
a camera up
outstanding.
there?
You don't have to sign the waiver every time you come in?
No,
No,
only if you bring a guest. The
Oh.
person that comes in, like, say if I gave you the key, you signed the waiver, that's a one-time waiver.
Oh.
If you wanted to bring a guest, and then there would be a stack of waivers on the table in there.
And
You
not-
have it's your responsibility to make sure that your guest signs
see.
that waiver.
Okay,
And you're here because they need to be accompanied.
Correct.
Right.
Yes,
And
yeah.
you have the key, you're in charge of your responsibility. So when you signed in, you took responsibility for
And I
the
think
actions of what was going on.
The log is, in case something is
Broken,
damaged or
dirty.
broken or whatever, you can go
okay.
Yeah,
To
the
the
bathroom's
log.
trashed or something like that.
and,
And, you know, if somebody really wanted to go in and not sign the log and go in there, you know, abuse the stuff, make a mess and leave,
Yep.
That's true.
I mean,
it's on
let's hope it
camera.
doesn't get to it, but yeah.
But that would have to be a consistent, you know,
Right.
real problem. I really,
Right.
you
If
can only
think that
plan
your
for those kind of
residents- I think you-
contingencies so
you
much. I
won't
think
have
we
too
could
much trouble.
address it appropriately
Right.
if it presents.
but I don't think that there's a camera in there.
No, but
no, it's on the
No.
outside so you
Right,
can see
anybody
who's
coming
coming.
in,
No, but I thought you asked that, Denise.
No, if there was a camera to see who's coming in and out.
Oh,
there
So
is,
you
there's
can-
two out front, one here
Right,
and one.
so you could, if something was
So,
damaged,
We
you
got
could.
that?
yeah, I think we're good, yeah.
All right, we'll move on to Moxie Road signs.
So that was a email that I sent to you guys, Frosty's next 5 miles.
Yep.
And I gave you the price. for it.
Any discussion on the 5 miles or the 5.2 miles?
The 5.2 was mine, okay? I decided that the 5 looked better. The 5.2 is unnecessary and it
How you
clutters it
think?
up. Yes, that's what I've come to.
I will make a motion that we purchase the Frosties on the Moxie Road next 5 miles. The 2 signs. They were pretty cheap, were they $40 a piece, something like
No,
that?
they were like 85, I think.
85?
But they should last forever.
Oh, they'll last forever, yeah, instead of those paper things, and it really needs to be, I can't go down,
Cones.
that road is horrible and people are,
I don't know how you
So-
go up it every day.
Oh my God, it's
I hadn't been up for a
horrible.
while, I said I couldn't believe it till you get
Oh.
up halfway up past where Brian's house used to be, you know.
I don't even go out anymore.
anyway, so I'll make a motion that we purchase the sign at 5 miles.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay,
Just as a little follow-up, just an add-on, I talked with Phil Curtis about this.
who's gonna bring
He's
that
all
up?
on board.
Okay,
Thinks it's a great idea. I've already been up and looking where we can put them,
has
okay?
Phil been up on this road? I wanted to bring that up next.
No.
Phil needs to come down and take a field trip and drive up, your road and drive up this road and say, look, this is what happened. You're in charge of these 2 roads and they both suck. He's
Yeah,
my
$1
friend.
million we spent for that road.
I know, exactly.
I know.
So I would really recommend that next time we talk to Phil, or I can call Phil, that we need to get him, come out, take a field trip, you know, not just take our word for it. So maybe he can, have something. He's he's in charge of most of that road.
And we turned down CMP money.
I know.
So,
So, just for placement, because you're not supposed to put them on phone poles. I looked down, right at the corner at your place. There is a 4x4 wooden signpost with nothing on it right now,
Is that
except,
what, the one that used to?
I think it used to have the Forks Plantation on it.
Yeah,
I think it,
so.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not there right now.
Or it had a curvy road sign or something on there.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what was there, okay, right now, all there is a little plywood
Yeah.
thing that I stapled the orange road posted thing last year.
Okay.
So, for this spring, I think that'll be a perfect place for the Frosties, okay? And then up at the other end, I don't see anything that's very good other than a phone pole. So I talked with, again, Phil about this, because this is temporary. Once it warms
Yeah.
up, we'll get the dedicated signpost, we'll drive it in the ground, we won't have to use either that one down by Crab where we can put whatever was up there
Right.
back up, and then we don't have to use the phone pole. Phil's suggestion, should we just run it by Jim Wright and say, can we use a phone pole this spring for the Frosties?
I can do that,
Yeah, if you would, I figured.
100%.
I got somebody that, you know, lives up Iron, my citizen knows him pretty well, and rather than put it up and, you
You won't
know,
have a problem, but I will.
cause it is temporary, it's just
Yeah.
this year, and then we'll get the proper post and everything, so, good, great.
That's good.
So, we'll
Okay.
head on those signs when you get a chance?
Yeah.
Good, yay.
That's
Perfect,
nice.
so they should go up as soon as we get them.
Yep.
All right, number 6, salt usage and budgeted amount. So, last time I talked to Andy, and I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but we were approaching, or if we had already met what we budgeted for the 24-25 salt usage. And so I spoke to him about what we were using for salt. And he's cut back, if anybody hasn't been traveling the last few weeks, he's cut back dramatically. I think some of it was he was trying to keep the road as dry as he could, as he was trying to put the Indian Road as dirt as he could for the drillers. And that was kind of the way he come across, and I was like, well, that's not what we want, but that's, you know, we want it safe, but, you know, we're already over budgeted for what we use.
Mhm.
Fortunately, New England Salt is, giving us the same price, no matter how much we use. If we use 100 tons over what we budgeted for, we're still getting it for the same budgeted,
Same price per ton,
Same
yeah.
pricing per ton. So, we were 2 loads in the rear with the state. Last week, I made another order. They hadn't come as of Sunday, but Andy saw some trucks go by yesterday. He thought he was gonna go check. He was stuck in the woods today, so he's gonna check tomorrow, let me know. But I think that we should be all caught up with the state. The state was in a big pucker last week, 2 weeks ago actually, because they ran out, the salt shed, they were sweeping the floor trying to get salt. So they were having a big deal. We weren't supposed to be in there, so for long and the short. They manage it very well. It got caught behind, we should be up to snuff. We're still only February, and we're still buying salt. He put 1,500 miles as of last week, just delivering salt up and down the Moxie Road, so there hasn't been a whole lot of plowing until now. Things dry out now, it should be easier according to Andy, but just to give you the update that we're behind.
Well, I think, you know, we have no choice but to, you know, order the salt and pay for it.
Yep.
You know, when we do the budgeting and we, raise taxes is at 10% overlay, which gives us a little bit of a cushion right there.
Oh, I didn't get that.
You know, that's universal, that's
Yep.
everything else.
Yep.
I do know.
So that probably.
Just as an aside, with all the FERC stuff with the shoulders and the Mountain Cemetery Road,
Mhm.
we paid Andy a long time ago for both of those. And we got reimbursed quite a bit more than we spent, which they know, and I explained it to them, and they explained the formulas based on not just here, but you know, what it costs elsewhere, and it's sort of like an average, and so, we actually, it was like 25 grand that came in.
A surplus.
Yeah, there's basically a surplus right there, at least, so I think what the work Andy did, if you did it in entirety, and then Ben finished off,
I remember.
Mountain Cemetery, we're probably about 10, we probably spent 9 to 10 grand on the shoulder repair in Mountain Cemetery,
Okay,
and they reimbursed us 25. I'm just saying, as far as having a little cushion to be able to pay for it this year, I think it's there,
okay.
and I think that obviously next year we'll plan better.
We've already turned in the KV-cog, estimated budget for 280 tons this year versus the 230 that they did for this past season.
I think that's pretty good, we don't need to go to 300 or.
I don't think so. Andy said 280 or 300. I chose the 280.
And like you said, if we use more, it's available and it's at the same price.
It is.
They're
I
trying
just
to-
think that, and I can't fault him for it, but he was, I just think he was using it was a little excess in the beginning. And he since brought that back under control, so.
Yeah, cause for future years, I'm like, when we redo the budget, are we chasing like a never-ending increase here where if the money's there, the salt's gonna dump? Or can we make a request that this is what we have for the year, and so, you know, set your meter accordingly?
Yeah, well, that was a discussion that we had.
Okay,
We hadn't been able to do it for the longest time, and then, you know, this was Andy's second year, so it was,
I mean, you can't predict the weather either.
what's that?
right, yeah,
I mean, you could have one ice storm after another, and you're up against Mother Nature, so.
Right. I didn't feel, I just haven't felt that way about this year. It hasn't seemed like the winter where we would be
Right,
way in excess in salt
right,
usage.
yeah, I agree.
We went over last year too, remember we had to raise, I think another 7,500 or something to pay off to offset, the deficit from the year before.
And didn't we
That
have a
line
special
item
town meeting
deficit.
for that? Did we have a special?
No, it was in the regular town meeting, we raised a certain amount, and then we also raised at the same time to cover for the shortage from last year, which we can do again this year.
Yeah,
Oh, I
You know
see
what I
you're
mean?
saying, yeah.
Say, hey, look, we didn't raise enough, this year we gotta raise this much and make up for what we didn't raise last year.
So is this a motion or not? It's
it's
just
not
a
a motion, it's just a
discussion.
discussion.
Okay,
Is there a sense at this point, what the final number's gonna be?
No, not,
I know, you can't predict, but, so how many, when would you start this, I guess, the salting, when would you consider the openings date of salt season?
It could be.
Could
For
be
this year.
September.
For this year,
maybe
though.
September,
For this year, though, when we, I was trying to get a sense of, was it October?
it was October, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a sense of like what the monthly
Yeah,
amounts.
I got it right here. If I can look at it.
I can look at it after, it's just for my own identification, cause I haven't,
Oh, and did we ever find out if Caratunk was using our salt as well?
Who?
Caratunk?
They are not,
They are not, okay. They're buying their own.
yes.
so Dave, you said you
That's the
submitted,
breakdown between the Forks and the county that Andy does each time he goes.
I saw that he can send me a bill for 5 tons, what one?
That was the beginning one.
That one we've already
Yes, that-
paid.
yeah, those
He
are
already
just-
paid that.
Yes, those are just
I thought
copies
so,
of,
yeah.
December, January, February, for November, December.
so this date of 11/23, which is the first date we have record of, was not the first day he laid salt.
I think there was an October one, I'm not sure, I don't have that one on file.
Okay.
It would be there.
your estimate for 280 tons to KV cog was for the 2025-2026 season?
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
All right, any more discussion on the sand and salt? Okay, workflow for treasurers. We got auto pay, CMP, Fidium fiber, who would like to discuss the treasurer's workflow?
I guess I can start.
Okay,
One of the problems we've, been beating around with this for a while, with, paying, our bills once a month, or every, signing the warrant, and then the checks go out after it's been paid, is things not getting paid and crossing in the mail, okay? So I think Susan talked with Lloyd up at West Forks, and what they do is their CMP bill, right, and
He said he pays it online, but after the warrant, after the meeting, so I misunderstood, I thought he was paying it like an auto pay,
oh,
but he actually clarified that the last time I spoke with him, and he said that he waits till after the meeting, but then he.
so he
pays it.
doesn't send them a
I just
check.
know the, kind of the monthly
No.
usage.
He pays it online, but it's kind of, anyway, so he avoids being late.
Okay, so I misunderstood, he doesn't auto pay those.
I thought, the first conversation I had was
Mhm.
that I thought he did auto pay, but in any case, we talked to MMA about what is, standard procedure or policy, and Charlie has printed out several of these,
Standard
sample
procedural policy
policies.
though is to have the warrant signed at our assessors meeting every month.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty much what MMA recommended,
Mhm.
except for a couple of, there are some exceptions. And one of them would be and I did sample policies here. One of them is for payroll. And because we have the mid-month payroll, okay? And what this policy allows would be one of us, any one of us, after she's generated the payroll warrant, to sign it off and approve it, okay? Not just me, you, so any one of us could do that, so those checks go out. And then, as long as we have a policy that says this is how we handle our mid-month payroll, then it's good, and then that's my understanding, you take a look at it. Same thing here with the state fees, and these are sample policies for people to just take a look at. The CMP and Fidium, the real problem, and I think I figured it out with the CMP, is our streetlights come, all of them come at once except the streetlight one, and it's asynchronous. So it always gets left behind, and it comes back, and it hasn't been paid yet, and it's doubled. So I'm gonna see if CMP can't send us all the bills all at the same time, even if the street line might be 6 weeks or something.
I think if you paid them online or viewed the bills online, you would probably have it.
We also talked to R.H.R. Smith, Karen, and she basically said, the signing off of the bills, when you get the signatures from you guys, that essentially is allowing the treasurer to send a check. So the
Yes.
warrant,
So we've approved it.
So you need to have the warrant at the meeting,
right,
basically.
but it doesn't mean that the checks have to wait till the warrant is signed. That's what she said. She said, once you sign the,
By
bills.
initial the invoices like we do.
Yeah.
When we
Then-
initial them, we've approved payment by doing right then and there, but by 2 people initially.
and the warrant is just an oversight, yes.
But the warrant needs to be at the meeting for people to view. You
Yes,
need to have,
and
yeah,
so I do have
Yeah.
that here.
Okay.
But I also have the checks because before we make this now a policy that I can send these checks out, I didn't wanna just do it, so.
Yeah.
so
But part of
this
the problem we
warrant-
have is that those checks are dated February 7th, you know
So
what I
the
mean? They're
way
going out on
Trio, the way Trio does is that you have the warrant preview, which is why I was having you guys sign the preview, then the checks are printed, and then you go through some other things, and then finally the warrant gets printed. So, but you can't go out of sequence, you can't print the warrant and then have the check.
but if something changes on the warrant, you've already printed the checks. So it's gonna be, you're gonna have to void a check if
Yeah.
something is wrong. That's why you print the checks after the assessors have reviewed it and signed, even if they sign the preview warrant. And then in your minutes, you say, we have approved the warrant. That gives you this
But
authority to pay the bills. That's how it's done. It's always been done that. That's what's giving you the authority.
According to Karen, she says you signing the bill, the bill that is.
initialing it. the
Right.
invoice.
Initialing that is what is allowing the treasurer, whoever the treasurer is, to send the checks. That is, and the warrant is nothing more than an oversight that does get,
Right.
you know,
A
signed
formality,
at
so
the
to speak.
meeting.
So
But
is
if
the- is
anything
the-
is changed, then the checks are gonna, like if you made a mistake, and I'm not saying that you did, but if you
Right,
made a
what I
mistake
thought.
on the warrant,
Yeah.
you've already printed the check. So you're gonna have to void that check.
Right, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that it's impossible with Trio to create a warrant without having already printed the checks.
But you do the final warrant after you print the checks.
But didn't R.H.R. Smith say that the preview was not a
Don't sign a
legitimate
preview.
document? They said, don't sign a preview, so, this is like a catch-22. What Karen said was you can send the checks, have already approved, when we get our CMP and you write, yes, I agree that we should pay $49.74 to cover the streetlights, whatever it is, that is in essence permission for the treasurer to to create the check, write, and send it off in the mail and the.
So
and
you're
the
saying
warrant.
that, in this scenario, the checks could be sent before the warrant is signed and available at the meeting?
Exactly, yes.
I don't know if I agree
And then
with that.
what would be the course of action if at the meeting there's an error found in the warrant and the checks are already in the mail or delivered?
So, I mean, give me an example of what would be, again, the warrant is a duplicate of you signing the bill. The warrant is
So just
just
some-
But you could have entered it into the warrant wrong, there
And
could
this
be
happened with Evan
numerous
a couple times
mistakes.
with the check numbers were wrong and things like
Yes.
that.
Okay.
I
Amounts-
think this
amounts were
is
traded
being
between-
made a bigger issue than it really is.
Well, so the whole thing that, I've been like trying to rack my brain on how to do this and not be late, because Consolidated was ready to shut us down numerous times because we have, that's why I decided maybe 2 warrants a month. But then getting all the signatures and there's way too many moving parts, so.
And then I don't
so
know
I'm-
if you can do a warrant without a meeting, I would ask that question.
Well, MMA they weighed in on that, and they said that it's customary to sign the warrant
At the meeting,
So,
yes.
so that is something that I think that we should, do. If we wanna be late, because if we get a bill, let's just say we get it on the 2nd, and it's due on the 15th, and then our meeting is the 23rd, and then after you guys have signed the warrant, then by maybe the 27th, I get in here and I print the checks, they're going out, but,
How
it's
about
gonna
if you
be
just
late.
pay all those utilities online after the meeting, and then they're automatically paid like that day? Like if you do, is there consolidated
So that's
online?
exactly what,
Yeah, so if you
Lloyd
do
does.
consolidated, then that's not gonna, I mean, it's gonna be inevitable that bills are gonna cross in the mail. I don't even know if there's a way to even make that not happen. It's just inevitable,
Well, it's worse now too, because.
of the mail
Some
system.
of the mail
Yes.
is taking 2
oh, the
weeks.
mail, exactly,
Yeah, I'm
no.
running into it.
Is it
I'm running
feasible,
into it personally, I think it's
Yes.
a nightmare, and they like having you pay those online,
Mhm.
but I
I
don't
mean,
know how
may-
you work that in this.
And maybe that's the solution.
is
Right.
it possible to request from the problem, accounts payable, if we can amend our due date? Cause they're probably the same date every month, and they're consistently 4 days too late. I've never thought to do this, but can you call CMP and say, could we please change our due date until,
I can imagine without it.
we can't be the only ones that.
It's so many days after they
I'm
hooked
gonna
up their
let
service
you call
initially.
Consolidated or Fidium Fiber now,
Okay,
like what a,
well, especially since we're a new Fidium account, I'd hope that we could say, this due date is problematic with our warrant process.
yeah.
Could we make sure that the due date, something that's always gonna be after our meeting? So our meeting is on the 3rd Tuesday, right? This is the 3rd Tuesday, 2nd Tuesday?
Third Tuesday.
I have too many thirds this and the first Wednesdays.
Right.
Yeah, so if it's, for meetings are always on the 3rd Tuesday, and so if you just pick a date late in the month, the 27th or whatever, I'm not even sure if that's a possibility, but if it would solve the problem, it's worth asking. Is it just CMP and Fidium that are
I know
consistent
credit
issues?
card companies let you do
I
that,
mean-
but I can't imagine that a utility company
Yeah.
does that kind of
Right.
accommodation
Well,
for
listen,
you.
listen, okay? CMP, you have to be way behind before they're gonna cut power off,
Right.
okay?
That's true.
And so
That's not
that's a
really
matter of
problem.
staying on top of what you paid. I mean, you look at the bill, it'll tell you previous amount due. You look, okay, I've already paid that, so I'm not paying it a second time. You have to do a little research. The real critical one is Fidium, because the sons of bitches will shut you off.
Yeah.
I
they
had
will.
that
They
virtually
will.
no
I paid it, and they shut
if
it
you're
off.
late.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
and
Cause
we
they
don't
didn't
have,
post it.
they're not forgiving like CMP, they're not gonna say, oh, yeah, no problem, you know, I mean,
Well, it
and
depends if you're
we're screwed
considered,
when, if they shut us off, you know,
Yeah.
it's, you know, I've been through it.
it depends if they consider you a commercial account, they can shut you off. If they consider you a residential account, then they can't, because there's, you know, well, Fidio can, I mean, Consolidated can, but the power company, I think there's, that they really
There's,
can't.
yeah, there's state mandates on shut.
Oh, absolutely, you can't just, so,
But
so
a
to me,
commercial account, they
the
can.
real critical one is the Fidium, it has to be on time.
I can call Fidium and ask about the change in, I just need to get some information from you, Susan, since you were part of the setup,
Yeah,
about what our date is and
Yeah.
our account number and things like that.
what,
Assuming they'll let me talk to them, but sometimes they're like, we can only talk to one person.
so do you think then that auto pay is pretty much, we don't have the opportunity to approve the bill, and that would be like
I don't think,
inappropriate?
yeah, but I
thing?
don't think we're gonna really do auto pay.
Okay,
In the interim, I do agree with Denise that if we move to this new process of one warrant a month, signed at the meetings, and there is an issue with a due date on a bill, that paying it online is a good short-term solution.
And that's not auto pay, that's different.
right, no,
Yeah.
You
I
control when you pay
misunderstood.
it, that's right.
Yeah, misunderstood.
That would be
Molly.
better than auto pay, because
Right,
that they're gonna take the payment out whether there's money in there or not.
exactly.
Yeah, and whether we sign the warrant or not.
Right.
Okay.
Then they shut it off.
Okay, so it sounds like one warrant a month. And
Signed at
then
the meeting.
signed at the meeting, and then, the only Fidium to pay online after the meeting, if we can't adjust the due date. Does that
That's the
sound-
real critical one, because it's an infrastructure issue within the town, they shut it off.
Wow, they're tough.
Is it working good, the video?
So far, I
Good.
mean,
Has the Trito been doing
Did
it?
it take care
circle
I have
thing?
not run, since you say that, no, I have not,
Oh, good, so it did work, yeah.
had to deal with that.
Have you, Susan, at all with the,
I mean, a little like this, was it, Sunday morning that I was in here? Or Monday morning, whatever, we had snowmobilers that came in and wanted to, out-of-state snowmobilers wanted to register. It was only for a few seconds, it wasn't like the spin, never-ending thing, so
Awesome.
it was a lot better.
Are we all set with that?
Is it, I think that needs a motion though, does it?
I don't think so.
Okay,
To set up online accounts,
well,
online payments.
yes, and to basically to say one more in a month and kind of
I'll
summarize.
make a motion that we go to the recommendations of one warrant a month. And if we have any problems with Fidium, we pay it online. Anybody second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I'm still gonna call CMP to see if they can't send all the bills at the same time.
Yeah.
Cause we get,
Ask them if they'll send them later too.
Yeah.
Just ask.
we
Can't
we're
hurt to
not
ask.
sure that,
I could-
to get them
I
in sync,
get
the one might
eight
be a
CMP
little
bills all
light
at
one
the
month or a
same
little
time.
heavy.
Right.
But I know that the street light comes like, it's
Oh,
not in
that's
sync with all the other ones.
It is
So,
annoying.
and so that's the one that seems to constantly behind it, and it's the biggest one.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden you're like, we are what? You know, so.
All right, we'll move on to the tax collector's report.
There's not really much to report, we haven't really had any, any payments, any deposits. The next tax bills will go out in March, reminders.
That it?
Yeah, unless anyone can think of anything I'm missing.
I think so.
Okay, I make
That's
a
pretty
motion to
impressive.
accept the tax collector's
I like that report.
report.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Treasurer's report.
Did you Okay, well, I think we just went over a huge amount of, what we needed to, but here's the warrant for, which I guess some of it has been signed by, everyone.
And I think, I think we have to figure out who's gonna present the accounts at the meeting. I don't know if we ever did that, delegated that responsibility. But I feel like the accounts need to be read at every meeting.
I agree.
But we need
Our
to figure out
balances.
who's gonna do that. I don't mind doing it, or,
Or, I mean, if it's account payable, I mean, I could.
No,
do
it's
it
our
right
bank
here.
accounts, we
Bank
need to know what the balance.
No, I
Funny
know,
we have-
but since I'm accounts payable, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter either, either one.
Yeah, that's a
Do you
question.
want me to do it right now?
Sure.
and I think when you go on the bank, there's a way to print like all the accounts and what the
Yeah.
balances are.
I think so too. Okay, annual road maintenance, $9,818.49. Cemetery account, $11,887.07. CFWF closure account is $2,378.10. Moxie Dam long range account is $72,851.04. New school bus account, $70,758.83. Non-traditional school account is $7,660.47. Road account, long range account, $146,333.52. Scholarship fund is $61,166.35. Student activities is $72.53. The town checking account is $162,456.07. Special education CD is $32,127.28.
So I think we're pretty good, like, with our checking account, that we're gonna make it.
Yes, I do too.
What was that one?
That was 162.
162.
Yeah, minus this warrant probably.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
That's not much though, that
Yeah.
warrant's not.
$800 or something.
oh, really?
Putting our collective, thoughts together, and you folks too, can we think of any big hits that might be coming? As I'm looking through this, I get surprised every once in a while with something.
Right.
All of a sudden, it's like the fire one came through, you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, and then the CFW came through. So I'm just wondering, but I can't think of any big
One of my-
ticket items like our bond and our
Oh, yeah.
county taxes have been paid, and I don't see any big chunks coming out of that, like, oh yeah, we'll write off 62 grand of that, cause we go X, Y, and Z, so.
We should be able to think about then coming up, finish off, paying off our donations.
Yes.
Did we decide to do that after April though?
We did, but.
Yeah.
I'm just
Maybe before?
thinking what's coming out, what we're talking.
So it's February,
Um,
March, April, I mean, it's only 2 months worth of bills. And then in
Well,
April,
but we still
everyone's
get-
gonna,
everyone, how much did we delinquent do we have?
well, no, that's when the second
I
payments are
realize
due.
that, but do you know
Yeah.
how much that equivalent is?
I don't, but
Yeah,
most.
that's not how that compares to what 15% of our total tax
Right,
receipts
how many
should be.
paid?
Yeah, not a lot.
So,
I know we got 100 coming from NECC at least, cause they only paid half.
Did Beirut paid the whole thing?
Yes,
didn't they?
yeah, but the majority of people paid half, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
really, I'm surprised.
I think we paid the bulk of our donations though,
Okay,
so so.
Well, and we're just,
So it actually feels good that we're kinda like,
okay.
have a little breathing room now.
We gotta go a long way.
I know.
November's a long way off.
It is, but we have our
We're not
next
gonna order a
payments in
leather couch and a
April.
I
cake
know,
fridge just
Yeah.
yet.
that's gotta go till
Yeah.
November.
Yeah.
One thing, speaking of, we have a list going in the, office part of just like, supplies that are, you know, pretty standard, there's batteries on there, I think that Tabitha put some cleaning supplies on there. I wondered if there might be, if the board would approve, I don't know if, like, I don't know what other towns do, like, if we could order something that's up to $100 without, you know, asking, or, I don't know, what.
I thought don't you have a petty cash or something that you work out at?
We do,
I
And
thought
that's
it would
just
be like,
cash
this would be
transactions.
office supplies.
That's
Yeah.
just for
And
cash
cleaning.
Yeah,
transactions.
but I
That's
mean,
right.
I thought you could buy something for $50 or whatever.
We don't
That's
have
what
a
she's
policy.
asking is
That-
whether.
We
Oh,
don't
I
have
thought
a
we did.
policy at this time.
Are you ordering it on Amazon? Excuse me?
Depending on what it is, but
Or
possibly,
Staples or something like that?
yeah.
Well, what we've done in the past is you sent out an email to all of us. This is what I'm getting X, Y, Z, and it's gonna cost X amount to the credit card. And
We all
we
approve.
will write back, I approve that transaction for the credit card and set amount, blah, blah, blah.
Perfect.
And that would be
I think
your,
that's good.
then you could print that, attach that to the receipt, and that's, would be
Yeah.
just as easy for us as it.
Okay, that sounds good.
And, yeah, we got a few things that the AED, I got looking at that, needs a new battery, lithium required.
Yep.
Before we get the gym going, that should be,
Yep.
I mean, it actually worked, but it said new battery.
No, you have to record it. I
Yeah.
change mine every year.
Yeah, so anyways, it's just a few, you know, odds and
Mhm.
ends like that, like
Yeah, I don't
she got
think
the
that there
list
was
out, some
anything-
Febreze for Tabitha and.
Yeah, there's nothing, too expensive on there, it's just that, you know, I'm doing a running list, so that I'm not ordering something every day. But,
All right, anything else to do with the treasurer's report?
Do we need a motion to allow? or
Accept the
to-
treasurer's
no,
report?
No, that, okay.
I will make a motion if we're all set with it.
Second,
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as written, as read. Second.
I second.
All in favor? All right, clerk's report.
I really don't have much of a clerk's report.
I make
at
a
this
motion to
point.
accept the clerk's report.
I second.
All in favor? All right, acceptance of the minutes. I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of last month.
Second.
All in favor?
Let me get some.
Everybody was in favor.
I will make one comment about last month's, and it's about the big ordeal with the Lake Moxie and Matt Predmore and the dog and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That was handled very quickly and very discreetly with, CMP and all the parties involved. And it was handled with no scathing to the town, and things got taken care of pretty well,
Things settled down.
yes. Okay, old business.
I don't know, I just was wondering, I think this is all business, but have we gotten anywhere with that property, the house up at the lake? I mean, have you found out any more about that?
So what I found out and what we haven't got figured out, we've got it, it's been corrected at the state level.
Okay, good,
But we haven't seen the information yet,
yeah,
and which would be part of our new tax maps. All that God's country, if you will, that whole subdivision
right,
was being, CMP was paying the taxes on it.
right,
So that's been rectified. From here on out, we will be paying the taxes. We have to pay 3 years in arrears. And that's as far back as they can go, but
yeah,
we've been paying it since the 90s, so. But as far as everything else, no. We are going to bring to the townspeople in the spring
okay,
what direction we wanna go in, whether we wanna bring it to Lurk and the state recommends we bring it to Lurk or LUPC, whatever,
Yeah.
land use. And actually, cause it's already been surveyed with, lawyers, engineers and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Whether we wanna bring it to them and have them actually document that subdivision, make it legal, and then if the people will want to sell those
Mhm.
or continue to lease them, but at this point, it's ours, we own it.
Including the house.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
the house. We will make a motion at the time, we will make a recommendation at the time that house, if anything, that house, we haven't really discussed it. It's gonna have to be a
Right.
discussion for the people,
That's
because
okay.
that property, yes and no, should stay with the dam, but that house needs to be, the money, somebody needs to buy that house and that money needs to go back in the dam account,
Right,
in my opinion.
right.
But that's gonna be the people's opinion as well.
Right, right.
But as far as that whole subdivision, all those properties, I don't think we can go any further until the people decide whether that's the direction we wanna go in or not,
Right, right.
so.
Well,
And once it's been certified and formalized by
It's
LUPC,
gonna
we
be
know exactly what the entity is. and what
Right,
we're
Right,
dealing with.
exactly. And I think it's important for the people to know that they didn't vote on, to buy that house. It's my understanding that wasn't voted on.
It was voted on, we turned it down.
Oh, you told, I thought it was tabled. It was actually turned down.
No, it was turned down.
So they just went ahead and bought it anyway.
Yep.
That
Should
is
bring
just-
that up if any of them are planning on running for
Well,
reelection
even
too.
if they're not running for
Yeah,
election.
no, there's,
People need to know
it's in a
that.
file that says that, it was brought up and voted against raising and appropriating money to purchase that house.
And they just went ahead and did it.
And then they went ahead and did it,
Isn't that against the law?
yes.
But nothing's being done about that.
So-
No, it doesn't.
Somebody needs to,
I'll probably complain or something.
yes, and we've done, the state auditors and the state, attorney general's office has all that information. If they were gonna do anything, they would have done it by now.
That isn't right.
Right, but, so, I'm speaking for
Right,
myself.
I know, I
In
know.
my opinion,
This is just a
that-
discussion.
unless somebody from the public recommends or suggests that we do something as a town
Mhm,
to said, people that did it,
yeah,
then we're not gonna we can't spend and justify going after somebody or a
Right.
vendor and spending townspeople's money, you
right,
know, with a lawyer and
Right,
going through all
right,
that. Right, wrong, it's not a personal vendetta, so
right,
unless somebody makes a complaint, like, the reason why we started this whole investigation about the house is because Butch came and wanted to buy the house, now we had to open this
right,
and figure out what's going on, so until somebody pushes the noodle,
mhm,
then we're gonna stay, toe the line.
yeah,
And they need to pay the dam account back because the dam needs
that's right,
repairs.
It will need some repair,
that's
yeah.
right.
Needs an engineer, I believe,
It
right?
needs an engineer, yeah, I think I have problems with a deep gate, I have to have that looked at, maybe in the spring, we'll see, might be able to get through one more season. But I want it until we get this rectified.
Right, absolutely. And you're all to be commended for, you know, again, just anything else, but
But
I
that's where
really
that
think
stands.
it's one of those things that people in town, at a town meeting, they need to understand that.
Yeah, excuse me.
Our accounts aren't balanced, that's why.
You what?
Well, at a town meeting,
Oh.
you know, when they're voting how to spend money, they need to understand that that was done, that was just,
Yeah,
and that's why we're in the hole.
And that's why we're here now,
Yes.
is to try to do a better job
Absolutely,
moving
and
forward.
honestly,
And
you
keep the-
can't be
and-
commended
and-
enough,
You
We're doing the
know,
best we
maintain
can.
transparency,
absolutely,
you know, and
absolutely.
so.
does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just am disappointed that the Attorney General doesn't think that that's a criminal act.
In the big
I
scheme of
think they're
things,
bigger,
I just don't think that
yeah,
to
they,
go after $56,000 worth of,
Well, then they should just
Mismanaged
take it
and-
upon themselves to give it back to the town.
well, it's not 56,000, it's what it would cost to prosecute go through the whole hurdles, you know, for,
Yeah,
as far as they're concerned, the people did their due diligence and voted those people out, and they're moving forward with
yeah, well, that's good,
better controls and,
that's good,
more transparency.
that's
I
good.
think the message that I got ultimately from those folks is that you need to rely on the democratic process and make the necessary changes so it doesn't continue to,
Right.
happen.
Mhm.
You know what I mean, that,
Right.
you know, and we've done that. The people in this town have done that.
It's just
you know,
awful that they
so-
don't have to pay it back to the town.
So,
You know?
I think eventually, it'll take some time, but I think eventually we'll get that rectified and the account will get made
Yeah.
true. We'll figure it out. But it can't be, Butch, I'll give you $100,000 for that and then walk away. It needs
Right.
to go,
Right,
Needs to go out so other people
It's
have the
gonna go-
option to
it
buy
has to
it
be a
too.
bidder,
I think
Yeah,
that's what's
it's
gonna
not
happen,
his
but the
private
people's
sale.
gonna decide that. I mean,
yeah,
we can't,
exactly.
right?
That's
we
right,
don't have that
That's
authority
right.
No.
for that amount of money.
Right,
that's right.
and that's a big decision. You know, we're gonna have to spend $10,000 or whatever, I'm just using a fictitious
Yeah.
number, and to make 100,000, so.
Right, right,
But we'll have to let the people make that decision,
mhm,
and I believe it's already on a docket to talk about.
good,
All right, any new business?
thank you.
I just have a question for Susan on, the registry of motor vehicles. I understand by what, May 10th?
May
Any-
first,
May 3rd, any
May
new vehicle?
1st.
May 1st, okay. Any new vehicle,
no,
Be-
any registration.
any registration, all right. Any registration has to switch over to the Pine Tree plate. And I would say, I've got 6 buses due over the course of the summer. In the past, I haven't been able to get a new plate. I have to go to Augusta when I get a new plate. Will you have those available? Yes.
It's just the chickadee plate that's being replaced.
Well, that's what I have. They're all chickadee plates.
Oh, they
Yes,
are.
they are giving me, even though I'm not a new,
Right.
whatever, a new
Right.
agent.
You have to
I
get
think they're
that.
all
They are-
set.
Are they?
There might be one that
Uh,
says just commercial. I don't
Another
know.
waste of taxpayers' money.
Oh my god.
Right, no, they said that they were gonna give me the plates, but hopefully by then.
Even for buses. Because buses in the past,
that
I
don't
could never
know
get,
about
Well, maybe
buses.
that's not a chickadee plate.
well, I look, maybe it is.
Yeah.
I think the bus is.
Maybe it's commercial or something. It says
Yeah,
just
The
I
buses
commercial.
are
think
gonna be
it is.
commercial.
Yeah,
That's-
it's a
that's
different.
I think
Right. I'll
chickadee
check it out.
are only residentials.
And,
But-
and that's the only
so-
plate that's affected.
But the chickadee plates that have to be replaced, they're sent, even if I'm limited, which is what my,
Right.
Probationary agent.
Right,
Right, what my position is right
Right.
now is limited. They are still gonna issue a bunch of, cause they've asked me, do we have a place to put them?
yeah,
So I said, yes,
Okay,
we've got
good.
Yeah.
plenty of space.
okay.
So we'll be
don't
able to
have
get the
go
place from
anywhere.
you. I was,
But
the buses I'll
ideally,
check. Maybe that just says commercial. I thought they all had to have a chick, actually, I thought they were all chickadee.
I don't think, I
All
think
the
buses are
cars are
different, I don't think
chickens.
buses are chickens.
ideally, I will
Puts me at ease.
you know, finished with training and, you know, I've been in conversation with,
Right,
with the state to try to, she knows that I'm interested in becoming a, you know,
so you can do the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
whatever their word is for an agent who is able to issue
Right.
Full
new
service agent.
registrations.
New business.
Yeah, you had a motion that you were bringing up earlier that we move to new business.
Right, which is, a search for an attorney.
Yep.
New town attorney.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion that somebody be assigned to do that and initiate that search sooner rather than later. And we could, do you wanna do it? I mean, I don't mind doing
I
it.
can at least start with, my uncle has always pointed me toward good attorneys, so I can at least.
Tell you
start
what, it's really, really good to have an attorney in the family.
there. Yeah,
My
it'll be a
first-
long time, he'll probably already be dead by the time I need an estate attorney. But, he can keep pointing me to better, you know, good attorneys to do other
You're never
stuff.
too old, you're never too young to have an estate attorney.
That's true,
You know,
that's true.
I got
It's
beat down
amazing
quite
how
a bit
much it
back in high school
accumulates.
because my girlfriend's father was a pretty well-known attorney.
Yeah,
It was just one of those things, you know, he'd fix tickets is what would happen. He'd just give it to me and then he'd fix it, that was the word.
Who's seconding that,
Anyway.
who's seconding that motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
So start there, I think that'd be good, and if you have any troubles that get bogged down. I just don't wanna have to have a lawyer and then be
Right, cause we
scrambling.
don't have one.
And I think it's time to move on.
I think
So we're talking about having
Yeah.
somebody on retainer, paying the retainer fee.
Yeah, they tend to do, I mean, I think
They do a lot
honestly
of
that the
pro bono.
relationship business-wise that the town had with Woodcock was kind of a sweetheart type deal. I think they tend to do that with municipalities, but I'm not certain.
Tell them we're
You
very
know,
poor.
but I don't think he
And we're
was like,
very poor.
I don't think he would charge us like a high-end client, you know what I
What, do we,
mean?
does
Well, we
anybody
have to
happen to
find a new
know,
one
Nobody
if
made
it
it.
just does.
does anybody happen to know roughly what our fee was with Woodcock?
200 an hour.
I have a feeling that's a sweetheart deal.
But according to him, he did a lot of things for free, right? That's what he said at the meeting.
I could double check, it might have been 250, but I'm pretty sure it was 200 an hour.
We have his invoices.
Yeah, I know, but I looked at those over and over and over.
I know, we're done with
I think
those.
the number 200 is stuck in my mind.
You said it's familiar to me too, somewhere around there, 200, 225 or something.
Yeah.
I think it'd be refreshing to move on from them.
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't have any other business.
I make a motion to adjourn.
At 7:47,
1947.
1947, I get it.
19 hour and
Who
45 minutes.
seconded, Charlie?
Yep, I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you guys again
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you, folks.
Hey,
Yeah.
I wouldn't miss
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, how did that discuss?
This is better than TV.
What's that now? Oh, yeah, they drilled it out.
Oh, yeah, good. You're not too much pain in making.
No, we still have it.
I understand the two of you
Right on
have the
there.
same thing,
Oh.
everyone